What's going on, Tamers? It's me, Guy, who was just trying to live his life on a normal Friday and just gets caught in the crossfire of Bandai announcements out of nowhere. I did not plan to record a video today, but yeah, here we are. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then let me be the first to let you know that Bandai just shot out an announcement not even a couple of hours ago as of the recording of this video that said that the restriction list is getting an update. And not just the Japanese restriction list, but also the English restriction list, and they are almost the same, which means now we're back on the same path, baby. So let's first talk about the cards that got restricted, as well as why they were restricted according to Bandai, and then maybe a little bit of our own interpretation in that as well. And then finally, we'll talk about what those changes might mean for the meta in not only the English side of the game, but also the Japanese version. So the first card hit in the announcement is actually Sunrise Buster from BT9. Now this one is not super surprising to a lot of folks. During the previous round of restriction updates that we got a few months ago, a lot of folks were, kind of talking, thinking that maybe that card was going to get hit then, but it didn't. But they all kind of just recognized that the card is pretty dang powerful. And so this time around, it did not evade the restriction. And so now Sunrise Buster is restricted to 1 per deck. Let's talk about why Sunrise Buster actually got restricted here. To do that, let's quickly go over what it actually does. It allows you to play a red or yellow tamer. And after that, for every red and yellow tamer that you have on the board, you can reduce one of your opponent's Digimon on the other side of the board by 3000 DP. So this doesn't seem super crazy. However, when paired with some of the cross-heart stuff, I'm looking especially at the Akari tamer, the yellow cross-heart tamer. It's incredible. It allows you to basically play a tamer. The Akari tamer's effect goes off, which allows you to play a Dorurumon. Dorurumon's own play effect goes off, allowing you to minus another Digimon's DP by 3000. And then after all of that has happened, you get to rest the Akari tamer and draw a card because you've played a Dorurumon, which is a cross-heart Digimon. So for 5 memory, you're gaining destruction on the board, a tamer, and a Digimon, and you're drawing. That's incredible. It's not hard to see why this card was actually restricted in the first place and why it didn't get restricted sooner, because all of that for 5 memory is pretty wild. So with Sunrise Buster just restricted to 1 per deck, this really does slow the deck down in terms of them having to actually spend resources on only removal for their deck, rather than having removal plus all these other effects all just for 5 memory. Now they have to commit to options like Burning Star Crusher, which is a little bit cheaper, but it requires some setup, and then it also requires 4 memory just for removal. You don't really get anything else out of that. So while there are other options, the deck definitely does lose efficiency overall. So this next card I didn't really expect to get restricted, but when you actually think about how it works, it kind of makes sense. So I'm of course talking about Chapman X4 from the BT10 series. So why is this card restricted? For 4 materials, if you Digicross 4, you can play this for essentially 1 cost. You draw 2 cards, and then if you have a Chapman up under it, you can attack immediately. It also has the effect of, at the end of the attack, you can just dismantle it, destroy it, and then unrest one of your tamers, typically your Taiki tamer, so you could reuse it for Digicrossing during the course of the turn. And you would material save 2, so half your materials get thrown away, and half of them get saved. Considering this card also allows you to draw 2, you could potentially make up for those lost materials that you have to throw away whenever it's destroyed at the end of its attack, which means if you have enough of these in your hand in the late game, you can amass them. And again, with enough Shoutmons, enough materials from the other Digicross Digimon, you could just loop this card over and over and over again. And so as you're doing this, you don't really care if the card actually gets hit by a big Digimon in security or some security option, because by its own effect, it's going to get destroyed at the end of the attack anyway. So you could just swing with impunity. You don't really care what's there, and then just whittle down security fast enough until you can get to your X5 and then in the game. Also, the fact that X4 on play allows you to draw 2 cards kind of just invalidated one of the option cards that the deck had, which was Hero in the Skies. Of course, Hero in the Skies also gives you security attack +1, but that's really not that big in the grand scheme of things. But now with Chapman X4 being limited, you kind of have a reason to run Hero in the Skies now, and the security attack +1 also isn't that bad, right? You could just throw it on something else, and if it gets destroyed, it is what it is. You can also just pump up your Chapman X5 to be doing 3 security checks instead of 2. It almost feels ceremonious that with every one of these restriction list updates that we get, there's one card that nobody was thinking about, or nobody oh, this is too much. They were really thinking that, and Bandai's you know what? Shoot that guy. And so this time that card is going to be none other than Calling from the Darkness, the purple card from BT5, BT7. Time to play Do I Know My Sets. It is from ding 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 BT7. I was right on the second guess. I get the consolation prize. So yeah, Calling from the Darkness is now restricted to 1. This is fine. Most folks only run 1 or 2 of this card in their deck anyway, so it doesn't really hurt anyone. I mean, if you're running 2 and you have to swap it out with something else, then boo-hoo. But I mean, this card wasn't like a 4 of in purple decks for the most part, as far as I know anyway. Bandai's official reasoning for this card being hit is because with a cheap cost of 1 allowing you to destroy one of your Digimon and then like get 2 from the trash, this was too strong because it allowed for some loops, but with that explanation, I'm still kind of left scratching my head, because if you're playing BT10 and onward, the card that you want to hit to stop loops would be Revive from Darkness, not Calling from Darkness. For folks who don't know, Revive from Darkness is a card that allows you to destroy Digimon on your side of the board and then play level 5 from your trash. You don't get the on-play effect, and that's fine, because if that Digimon that you hit with this card is Minerva Mon, she has the same effect, except you do get the on-play effect from the Digimon that you pull from the trash. So what you can effectively do is you can get both of the Cerberus Mons, Werewolf Mode and the regular one, to get +5 memory net after the 4 cost of the Revive from Darkness. So if they really wanted to stop looping, this seems like the wrong card to hit. But as a person who has recently been playing a lot of Minerva and Mervamon in BT10 and BT11, this is fantastic news because I can continue my loop gaming. Yeah. So with this one, yeah, no harm, no foul. Minerva Mon still gets to be Minerva Mon. Minerva Mon still strengthens the deck once she comes out in BT11, and all is right with the world, I suppose. Side note, if you're really interested in the core mechanics of Minerva Mon and Minerva Mon as a deck, stay tuned. I'm currently working on a deck profile for that deck. I've been playing it over the past 2 weeks, and it is a ton of fun. So just be patient with me, and I hope to have that out very soon. So this last restriction is actually only for the English meta, not the Japanese. Filthy Ian players. Nah, I'm kidding. This one actually got restricted in the JP side of the game on the last restriction list update. So don't worry, we can't play with this either. But that card is going to be Dodogreymon from BT7? 7? Oh, it is 7. Let's go. I know my sets. I'm kind of nice with it. But yeah, if you had played the Japanese meta, or if you'd followed the Japanese restriction list updates, then you know that this card has already been restricted to 1. I mean, even without 4 copies of this card in a deck, the Alphamon X Antibody deck is actually still quite strong. I mean, as an example, here in BT11, it's still seeing some results, which is, you know, good for the deck and the health of the metagame. So yeah, your Alphamons will likely be easier to destroy because they won't have that protection that Dodogreymon grants them for a turn. But, I mean, the deck still does see play, so it's alright. We're okay. We're also still, like, holding out a big copium hit right here that Dodogreymon is going to see a reprint similar to how Saber Huckmon did when it got restricted to 1. We saw the update in, like, the Jesmon starter deck, so hopefully Alphamon sees something similar in the future. Let's talk about what these changes actually mean for the metagame going forward. And to talk about the actual metagame itself, you need to know when these changes are happening, and they're actually not happening at the same time on the EN and the JP side of the game. The EN side is actually getting these changes first, and that is, you guys can expect to see these changes go into effect officially from November 11th, which I believe is the release date for Draconic Roar, the EX3 set. So these changes will happen on the EN side on November 11th, and then the Japanese changes will happen on December 1st. And so yes, the metagame, my prediction here is that, look, if you don't like green topping, like you absolutely hate green, and make no mistake, longtime viewers know that me and all my homies hate green. I got really bad news for you. The buff that Bloomlord sees in the addition of Hydramon in his deck is pretty powerful. And when I say pretty powerful, I mean that it was a very, very close second to Crossheart in the EX3 series. So expect to see a lot of green and Hydramon running around. Sorry. If you're a green fan, I'm talking to you, Max, out there, then yeah, this is going to be right up your alley. You're going to have a fantastic time, and your deck is likely going to go uncountered in the meta. Well, you know, Death Xmon still exists, so there's that. But your deck will likely see a lot of power and a lot of tournament results in the coming months. The changes to Crossheart, though, do have the potential to really slow down the meta overall. Crossheart was known for being really, really fast, even faster than X Antibody, and for that reason, when Crossheart was introduced to the game, X Antibody kind of got pushed out of the meta, at least the top part of the meta, because they just couldn't keep up, just keeping nothing on board, and then trying to like digivolve into your raising area until you get your OTK. They didn't really have access to that because Crossheart just came out of the gate swinging. So with Crossheart having its really powerful removal hindered, as well as its ability to loop in games very quickly removed, this means that other slower decks in the meta, like slightly slower decks in the meta, can catch up, which means things like Blue Flare will start to see more play, in my opinion. Examon, it will likely be a problem. Where he wasn't such an issue in the Japanese side of the metagame, I think he's going to see a ton of play when he comes out on the EN side, so look for Examon. Get your hand on 4 copies of that guy if you can. And then finally, also things like Venusmon might also see more play. Venusmon with the Anjouamon and X-Antibody Anjouamon package is really, really good in EX3, and so the only thing that really stopped it was being outpaced by Crossheart, which means we might actually see more security control pop up. But to be fair, I think this is a really fun version of that deck, so we'll see. It also means that X-Antibody decks are likely going to stick around in the meta a little bit longer. We're currently experiencing a similar effect here in the Japanese version of the metagame, where the new Black Wargreymon X-Antibody deck kind of stomps out Crossheart, and as a result, those older X-Antibody decks kind of come to the forefront. The faster ones like Garurumon X-Antibody, as well as the Grandis deck are seeing a ton of tournament results, and so if that happens, we get a more lively and diverse meta, which is never a bad thing. Side note, if you are interested in how the Japanese meta is developing, I do meta reports almost every week now, talking about the week's tournament results and what decks are topping, why they're topping, and just a really in-depth conversation about how the game is progressing over here on the Japanese side of things. So if that piques your curiosity, then I wholeheartedly recommend you check it out. And so that is going to be it for the restriction list update that we have for this time. Hopefully nothing else crazy comes out over the winter holiday. It didn't happen last year, so hopefully it doesn't happen this year as well. Although we do have a ton of new cards coming out, especially on the Japanese side of the game, over the next few months, and so we may see an update again. I don't know. But anyway, let me know what your thoughts are about the restriction list updates in the comments below. Are you as confused as I am about Calling from the Darkness getting hit? Does that matter to you guys over the English side? Are there decks that you guys are running that this makes sense for? I don't know. How do you feel about Sunrise Buster being hit, as well as Chapman X4 being hit so quickly? You guys basically get him for like 2 weeks and then he's just restricted to 1. Anyway, folks, oh yeah, there's one more thing before I get out of here. I'm currently doing, as the time of recording this, I'm doing a giveaway. I came into a bunch of English versions of BT9 and BT10 cards, and I play the Japanese version of the game over here in Tokyo, and English cards are useless to me. So I figured, why not just give them away? So check out my Twitter, there's a link in the description below. I also did a post on my actual YouTube channel earlier today about this as well, but it's a really simple, free to sign up giveaway. You can just take like 5 seconds, hop over there, give that a try. So I'm just going to be giving out a ton of cards. This is everything from alternate art secret rares all the way down to like the common cards. I've also tried to group them so that the level of rarities between them are all similar and that they're also themed. So if you get like one kind of card that's really good, you're likely going to get the support for that card as well. So for example, like one of the themed bundles is like Royal Knights. Another one might be like X-Antibody. So if you're interested in that, you want some free cards, do me a favor and sign up for that. You've got a little bit of time on your hands, but not much, so do it as quickly as you can. Anyway, folks, I'm going to get out of here. Do me a favor, before you get out of here, hit the subscribe button, and I'll catch you next time. Take care.